Hello, my name is Trevor Smith, and I am here to give my strategic plan presentation for the William Woods University doctoral program for class EDU 760. Part one of my presentation today will be the development of the strategic plan. So I am the new superintendent at a school district, and my mission is to drive our district to improvement in student achievement. And that just means we want to continue to find ways to get our students to perform their best. And that's what I want to do as the new superintendent. To make this happen, strategic planning will be necessary. So first, we have to look at our mission, goals, and priorities through data. So we're going to look at the data that we have already and use that to kind of decide where we are. We're also going to make action items from this strategic plan, and everything we implement must be useful for the staff and students. We don't want to create busy work for people and jumping through hoops. Everything we come up with, we want it to be useful for all stakeholders. To develop and carry out this action plan and this strategic plan, we have to establish a core planning team. The team members of the core planning team will include me, the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, a board member, building administrators from different grade levels and different schools, teachers from different grade levels and different schools, a parent representative, a student representative, and a community or partners in education representative. And I guess my key role as the superintendent on this committee will be to just kind of facilitate and make sure that we are staying on track. Um, we want our principals and our teachers to be able to provide us with insights from people who have boots on the ground, firsthand experiences, and things that are actually going to be doable in the current classroom environment. And then we want to hear from, our community members, partners in education, parents, students, because we just want to hear. Um, we want to be transparent as possible, and we want to involve them in the decision-making process to make sure that we're coming up with things that are fair and useful for parents as well. So we'll start off with an environmental scan. This will be conducted over a 4-week period and done obviously by the core planning team. We will review data and compare to similar districts. The data that we'll review will include things like EOC and MAP scores, attendance data, discipline data and distribution, and graduation rates for different school districts. We will also host and gain input from stakeholders in input meetings. So we'll host opportunities for community members to be in our spaces and give us feedback as we go along. But initially, for the environmental scan, we're going to hear from stakeholders as to ways they think we have or opportunities we have for growth from them. Initially, speaking of stakeholder voice, we will create a stakeholder survey, created again by the core planning team. It'll be aligned with our district goals, current district goals, as in the goals that exist as I come in as the superintendent. It'll be conducted over a short time frame. We want a quick survey and a quick turnaround so we can get moving on this strategic plan. So I'd say 2 to 3 week window to make sure we give everybody an opportunity, but don't drag it out too long. We will share the survey via email and text and social media accounts, all the ways that we normally get the best communication out to our stakeholders. And it'll be given to staff, students, parents, and community members. So there'll be different surveys tailored for these different groups because a student survey will look much different than a staff survey. But we want to make sure that we have surveys available to hear all these important voices. We'll also do an internal audit completed by the core planning team. We use the seven Baldrige criteria, which are leadership, strategic planning, customer focus, measurement analysis and knowledge management, workforce focus, operations focus, and results. Um, on our audit, we also use a 5-point Likert scale to rate, to have stakeholders rate different things, and we will be on this internal audit rating different things as we see it as members of the core planning team. And this will be used to identify strengths and areas of growth for next steps combined with the results from the survey. So this is a huge piece, data analysis. We will look at data from the environmental scan, from the stakeholder survey, and from the internal audit. We'll use this data to look for trends, areas of opportunities for growth, and areas of strength that we can celebrate with our staff. We'll explore causes to common issues, try to find those root problems that maybe exist over that we can coordinate over multiple surveys and data points, so we can kind of triangulate that and identify common issues and also identify priority areas for next steps. And that isn't just areas of growth, but also what areas are we really good at that we need to continue to expand on and push the envelope and be innovative as a district. Next, we'll develop our mission, vision, and targets and strategies. So the core planning team will draft these based off the data and the information that they've collected and the needs and priorities they've identified. We'll create a strategy map for an easy visual. I want to make this easily digestible for all stakeholders, including those who are unfamiliar with education. Um, and then we'll communicate that with all stakeholders again through email, text, community advertisement, social media. We want to get this strategy map out there to everyone so they can understand why we've been asking for these surveys, what we're doing with the data, we are using the data, and moving forward, how we intend to continue with this process. And then we want to create and administer a survey for the feedback for the draft. So, we've had these listening sessions, we've had these opportunities to hear from all our stakeholders. Now that we've taken all that information and synthesized it into this draft for this strategy map, we want to see what stakeholders think and see if they feel like we're hitting the mark in terms of what they feel is appropriate. Okay, part two is deployment of this strategic plan. Part two of this process is deployment of this strategic plan, and this will take some time. This will be a several year process, I anticipate. It's going to be ongoing data collection for all stakeholders. So this is not something that we take the initial data, we take the initial survey, we do the initial internal audit, and that's it. We're going to continue to do those things to continue to collect data points that we can use to continue to evolve and grow as a district. There'll be ongoing communication and professional development. We have to continue to be transparent and let everyone know how things are going and be honest with data and survey results. If things aren't growing, that we anticipated would be better, we have to share that as well as the celebrations whenever we see growth. And again, develop and evolve strategic priorities. So something after year two might be addressed and be in a much better place than it was before we started the strategic planning. So once that happens, we have to find a new goal or a new area to focus our efforts on. Lastly, part three is the assessment portion. So we're going to have balanced scorecards at the district level, at the building level, at the even with departments. Department chairs at building levels need to have some level of a scorecard. We could give it to our coordinators who will work closely with those departments to make sure that they're getting what they need, but also you know, scoring them appropriately. We'll have bi-monthly data reviews. So every couple weeks, the core planning team needs to review data, whether we have new stakeholder survey data, new audit data, or whether it just be monitoring our attendance, EOC, and student behavior and performance data, things like that. We'll need to continuously review that and keep an eye on it as we implement the strategic plan. And again, ongoing PD. Once we determine areas of growth, teachers need to be trained in those areas over and over again, making sure we have the basics down. And so ongoing PD is important to continue to grow as a district, and it'll have to be focused on what we determine as an area of growth. And then, communication with the public, I've talked about several times throughout this presentation is key. We want to be transparent as possible. Again, not only celebrating the successes, but also being honest about things that we've attempted to address and we haven't met the mark. And so we'll have to change course at times. That'll absolutely happen. And we need to be transparent about that with the district. Um, Communication tactics will be through email, text, social media, and community advertisements. Those will all be utilized, and those are all already regularly utilized in many districts. But that's the several opportunities for stakeholders to receive communication from the school about the strategic plan. And I just want to close with our commitment is to student achievement. And so this is done through strategic planning and continuous improvement. Um, Through this hyper-focused, action item focused strategic plan, our students' achievement will improve through targeted goals and specific targeted tailored PD to our teachers. This is my reference. Thank you guys for your time today. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.